start with a moment you've probably experienced. It's a Monday morning, you're sitting in the meeting room, or maybe you're staring at a grid of faces on Zoom. Your boss is speaking, someone from finance is sharing numbers, somebody from marketing is presenting a slide which looks like something designed by a committee of 12 confused people. And suddenly, your line manager, he says a sentence that sends a small shock throughout your body. Your manager says, "So, what do you think?" And instantly, when the manager asks you this, "So, what do you think?" three things happen inside your brain. All three all together. First, your heart rate goes up. Second, your brain starts flipping through thoughts like a frantic librarian looking for the right book. And third, this is the worst one, you panic about saying something stupid. All these three things going on in your little head at the same time. So you do what millions of professionals do every single day. You say something safe, something polite, something that sounds intelligent. I'm not saying it is intelligent, something that sounds intelligent, but actually says nothing. Very conveniently, maybe you say something like, "Yes, I think that makes sense." Now, what makes sense? Or maybe you say, "We should definitely explore this further." Or the classic corporate escape hatch, "We should circle back at lunch." Everyone nods, the meeting moves on, and for a moment you feel relief. Thank God. But the uncomfortable truth is, you didn't just survive the meeting, you missed an opportunity. An opportunity to become the star that I think you are. Most people think that career growth happens via big presentations or brilliant reports or annual reviews. But after 30 years in business and thousands of meetings, believe you me, I can tell you something surprising. Careers are built in small moments, tiny moments inside meetings. Those tiny moments when someone says something sharp, something insightful, something that reframes the conversation, and those moments make people think, this is the person. This is the person who understands the problem. And slowly, almost invisibly, that person becomes the one person people listen to. The one people ask for opinions and the one who gets invited to more important conversations. But the tragedy is, most smart professionals never reach that stage. Not because they don't have ideas, but because they don't know how to express them in the moment. Meet Rohini. Let me introduce you to someone I'll call Rohini. Rohini is smart. She's really smart. She works hard. She understands the business. But in meetings, Rohini has a problem. Whenever a discussion starts getting interesting, she freezes. Not physically, but mentally. Because while others are speaking, her brain is doing something very dangerous. She is running what I call a self-protection script. Her thoughts sound something like, what if this is a stupid point? What if someone challenges me? What if the boss thinks I don't understand? So when the moment comes, Rohini says something like, "Yes, I think we should align on this." That safe statement? It's actually a corporate language for "I'm participating without risking anything." And then one day, imagine that one day when something interesting happens. Rohini is in a sales meeting, the leadership team is discussing a product that isn't selling well. Everyone throws in their theories: pricing, distribution, marketing, customer awareness, and the conversation goes on for 20 minutes. Lots of words, very little clarity. Finally, the CEO asks a question. He throws a question out in the open for everyone. "So, what exactly is the problem here?" Silence. People shuffle papers. Someone coughs. This, believe you me, this is one of those moments when you can become the star. A moment where someone could say something sharp, but instead a senior manager, you know what he says? Yes, I think the issue is multidimensional. Wow, such a beautiful sentence. That means absolutely nothing. And then something unexpected happens. Rohini, the junior product manager, says one sentence. The problem isn't awareness. Customers know the product, they just don't understand why they need it. And suddenly, the whole conversation shifts. Marketing starts discussing messaging, sales starts discussing positioning, and within 2 minutes, that room has clarity. The CEO turns to Rohini and says, "Good point." Rohini just earned credibility in her one single sentence. She didn't say anything magical. She didn't use any fancy vocabulary. Imagine her sentence was, "The problem isn't awareness. Customers know the product, they just don't understand why they need it." No fancy vocabulary. She didn't quote Harvard Business Review. She simply did one thing most people fail to do in meetings. She framed the problem clearly. And that's the secret. Today I'm going to share a framework, a simple, straightforward framework, and something that works superbly well, super effectively. Where? In the next leg. The difference between what people say in meetings and what they should say is not intelligence. Believe you me, it is structure. Most people speak like this. They give an opinion, they give some vague reasoning, and in all this, there is no clarity. There is no structure in what they say. But effective communicators, they do the opposite. They follow a pattern. A pattern which nobody tells you, but they follow a simple pattern called what, so what next? Let me give you an example. Now imagine there is a team which is discussing that the sales are declining. Okay? Somebody in the meeting will say a comment like, "I think maybe we should increase marketing." Now that sounds reasonable, right? You should increase marketing. But the problem is that sentence leaves the others in the room with more questions than answers. Why should you increase marketing? What is the real issue? What exactly needs to be done? So the comment floats in the room for a while and then disappears. So, what should be said instead? Now, listen to the same idea, structured differently, using the simple pattern called what, so what next? What? Our sales dropped after the price increase. So what? That suggests customers see us as replaceable. What next? If that is true, increasing marketing won't help. We need to strengthen our differentiation. What? So what next? Same intelligence, same insight, but now the comment has power because it moves the discussion forward in a direction. It discusses three things. It identifies what's happening, it explains why it matters, and it suggests what to do next. What? So what next? It's such a shame that most professionals aren't trained to think this way. Schools don't teach it. Companies, they really rarely train you for it. So when the moment arrives in the meeting, your brain is juggling three things at once. It is listening, it is thinking, and it is speaking. But without a structure, everything collapses. Which is why you hear sentences like, "We should circle back, let's revisit this, maybe we should explore that." Meetings are full of words, but very little thinking out loud. But, here's why this matters. Every meeting is a stage. A stage for your career growth, not a dramatic stage, a subtle one. A stage where people are constantly asking themselves silent questions. The managers, the CEOs, they are silently observing everyone. Who understands the business? Who sees the real problem? Who can simplify complexity? And the people who answer those questions through their words become the trusted voices. They are the ones who grow in their career because trusted voices become decision makers and decision makers become leaders. We all want to gain trust of our managers, our CEOs, the board, the investors. So this is the way to go. I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, I'm not an extrovert. I don't know how to dominate a meeting. I'm not a very aggressive speaker. So how do I convince? But the good news is, this is not about being extroverted or aggressive or dominating meetings. It is simply about learning a simple mental habit. Before you speak, ask yourself 3 questions. What is actually happening? Why does it matter? What should we do next? What? So what? What next? If you answer those 3 questions, those 3 things in your sentence, your comment will stand out instantly. And this is exactly why I created this podcast. Because communication is not about sounding smart. It is about thinking clearly in public. Every episode here is about to help you doing that. Helping you take the ideas that are already in your head, but take them out of your head and make other people understand those ideas, respect you, and remember you. If you're serious about upgrading your communication skills, serious about being able to say what you really want, the way you want to say it, without hesitation, without confidence, just follow this podcast and believe you me, you will see yourself transforming. Very shortly, I'm going to unveil a masterclass in confidence building. I'm going to make the announcement here on this podcast, and if you haven't subscribed, you might just miss it. You can follow me on my Insta handle, which is Communicate101. But if you're looking for training yourself or your team, just book a direct call with me. All you have to do is tap the button Schedule a Call on my website, communicate101.com. Super easy. So the next time you're in a meeting and someone asks, what do you think? Don't rush to speak. Take 2 seconds. Frame the problem. Explain why it matters. And then suggest a direction. What? So what? What next? Because in that tiny moment, you're not just answering a question, you're building your career. You're building a reputation, and reputations are built one sentence at a time. If you enjoyed this episode of Communicate 101 Speaking Writing Tips, share it with someone who's left a meeting thinking, I had something to say, I just couldn't say it. Because learning to speak clearly in the moment is one of the most valuable career skills you'll ever develop. In the next episode, we'll talk about something which is a pain point for most of us. Why your idea sounds clear in your head, but confusing out when you speak it out. Stay tuned. Thank you for listening to this episode of Communicate 101 Speaking Writing Tips with Sarika Singh. If you want to be notified of upcoming episodes, be sure to hit the subscribe button and follow the podcast. I'll be back to share more stories, more life experiences, and more communication tips every Friday. If you want to reach me or connect with me, just put your comments in the comment box below or mail me at info@sarikasingh.in. I know you're going to rate and review this podcast, so a big thank you in advance. Stay tuned and think about what we talked today.